It's amazing
that we are here and
we are next to the famous river.
yeah, we do.
Nice wedding environment.
yeah, there will be a wedding in 1 hour, so
yeah, we
maybe
have to
we
be
will
fast.
yeah, or we will be invited. So we gotta take a champagne glass or something like this after the.
What is interesting to me is that for me an artist is more and more not a desirable way of life, because just think about it. You are living in a studio alone, you are underpaid, of course.
Yeah, normally, yeah.
Or you don't even have a job, or you have to do another job to make your living, and then in your spare time you can do your art.
Maybe this little spare time, yeah.
Maybe this little spare time. The competition is enormous,
yeah,
because there are many artists, many great artists as well. So why should one could be an artist?
That's a good question to opening. This is a question I asked myself maybe 20 years ago. I studied art history, and after that I was, oh no, I won't take all my time looking at books and write about texts and stuff like this. It was really boring, somehow boring studies. And then I decided to go to the art school. And then I was confronted with all these questions you told me. Oh no, how should I sell my artwork? How should I work with, and all these scenarios and imaginations and all the comments from other art. Oh, you will be an artist, so how would you like to live with this and stuff like this? So decided, no, I go back to the university and will be an art historian, just in fact that I have somehow a security, financial security. But this is not the answer to your question. So I work together with artists, of course, as a curator and for contemporary art. I'm somehow really surprised how much risk and how much courage they have to do this. I have a lot of respect, of course. I heard a lot of these answers. I can do what I want. I'm somehow independent. Of course, I have a income like this, like some waves, more and more. Always the same thing. If you think about family, forget it, because it will be really, really expensive. And yeah, as you told me, the concurrence is really huge.
So what about art historian? Is it much better?
No, it's not better. But if you have a job, you will sit there for 60 years and hope nobody will kick you out or something like this. There is, we could speak about somehow a mafia over there. It's, I don't know, in Switzerland you have 50 curators, female and male, who are running all these institutional spaces. And so this words about vitamin B, you know this, or you take your friends and your girlfriends and your boyfriends and your family members, whatever, or your friends from the studies to all the other jobs, and you surround them together. I made this somehow in the same way. Started with nothing, always improvisations, and gave them some kino tickets, and now I can pay them a little bit for some like photographers or friends who write about exhibitions and stuff like this. But yeah, you're right, it's a hard way to be there.
Just before the interview you mentioned that you stopped doing this artistic stuff, and then you once again restarted. So how this happened and why?
Hey, my career as an artist was not that long. I just went to the art school because in my mind I was thinking about thinking with my hands and not always with my mind. Sometimes I would be creative, and I really recognized very early that I'm not that creative with my hands, that I more write and not draw and stuff like this. I just found, okay, I'm not that, of course I like materials, but I was not that open-minded as an artist. I couldn't work with everything. I was totally focused on printing arts, different printing techniques, like lino cuts or silk screens or stuff like this. So I was like this. But it was a really good way as an art historian to get the language or the artifacts. I learned the artifacts, I learned how to create a lino cut, or I created like a lithography. And so for my mind it was really good to to connect with artists. I can have a better conversation if I'm in an atelier, and I don't look like an art historian with his laptop or his notebook. Of course, I also write on notebooks, but I'm a little bit more sympathetic for artists. I don't know.
How about life in Bern? Because I know not that much. Maybe you are not that famous about art in Bern. Maybe, of course, Zurich or Basel, Geneva. This is the art centers, but Bern, I don't know.
It depends on a little bit also on the art schools. They are located in Bern, Lucerne, Zurich, Basel, and the history. The history in Basel. Basel is an art city with the Mayday Museum and all this history with developing art, and the Zollfreilager is also important, I guess, for international art market. Bern, Zurich is very international with galleries, and a lot of galleries, commercial galleries and off spaces as well. And Bern, I don't know, it might be 5 galleries located in the old town. Bern is, it's somehow a village. One poetry slam told me this once. It's like a village. It's really small scale. A lot of persons know each other, but there is not that much exchange. Of course, you have an art school, the HKB, the School of Art in Bern, and you have a lot of projects, collective projects, collaborations. But if you would like to live from your art, or you need a gallery or something like this, you go to Zurich or Basel or maybe Berlin or Paris or Marseille or I don't know, other places. Bern is more local, regional. Maybe I can say it about it's more familiar. This connection is deeper, profounder, but not that widespread. Yeah, so this is. I really like to live in Bern because the quality to live is really huge in Bern, and it's a good location in Switzerland. You will be in Basel, Zurich, Lausanne in 1 hour by train with public transport. So I decided to be there, but I'm originally from Lucerne. It's even a more smaller city, but you can compare it with Bern. It's also it's central Switzerland, and has also an art school. I guess the oldest one from Switzerland, 150 and more years old.
Basel's greatest problem is the Art Basel, because everyone coming for these 4 days.
Yes.
Okay, maybe 5.
Yeah.
Whatever. Cool. But then there's a huge gap between the the galleries, normal spaces, or even artisan spaces, and the Art Basel, because when someone comes to the private jet to buy a Picasso in Basel.
Yeah, Basquiat for 40 million or whatever.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll probably will like it. But will this person comes to an off space, to an artisan space? No, I don't think. But what do you think about it?
I guess you're right. Of course, I have been at the Art Basel, but it's almost every year the same. I don't know why I'm there. I'm just observing people, the artworks a little bit. I like the flair because it's something very exclusive and special, but it's absolutely not necessary for my work or for a lot of work for visitors, for founders and runners from artist-run spaces or off spaces. Of course, there's a huge gap between the shiny world and the real world, what's happening here. We are here at an off-site, and a really peripheral off-site. Where is the off-space Mayday? I always talk about this iceberg model. Up there is some Art Basel, maybe Fondation Baylor, and these 3 players. And downstairs there's a lot of artists and so-called curators. But I can't give you an answer because it's really difficult to value it. It's, of course, there is like, I always need the comparison of playing soccer. I can't explain why is Messi salary 150 million in a year or whatever, or why should I pay for Basquiat 40 million? It's somehow the same thing. I can't understand it. I just live in the place where I'm born into. I'm not that rich and I don't gain money that much. I spend all my money for artworks, for traveling around and enjoy my life. Art is not that art. Art Basel is totally something else than the exhibition here at the offsite. But I'm pretty sure if we would invite them and take it with the BMW VIP service to Mayday and to the wedding we held over here, they could, oh, so cool, that's nice, it's so exclusive and special. But they won't buy it because it's too cheap. So it's just 5,000. What should I do with this? So so the art dynamics is it comes again with the soccer, the world. It's completely in another dimension. So I guess it's like, yeah, you said it at the beginning. It's the problem of of Basel is Art Basel. Yeah, somehow it is. Could be a thesis.
Everyone will hate my sentence, but it's a kind of boring, you know, this Art Basel, because
no, it's really boring. It's damn boring. It's all, yeah.
I like Basquiat, Keith Haring, Picasso, San Francis.
Yeah, it is. But
Richard Serra, great artists, great works. But we have seen before in London, in New York, in whatever spaces, and maybe in other places some more interesting stuff going on.
It was boring. It was really boring. Richter was boring. The Swiss Art Award was okay, but this is more interesting for me, just because you all know the names. But Art Basel, if you're higher than you go, or you're lower than you go, to the more important or more famous galleries, yeah, as you mentioned, always the same artists with the same works. You can go to every other museum in Europe, or maybe also in other countries, to the department of modern art and contemporary art, and you will see the same things. So it's not that interesting. So as I mentioned, I'm more absorbing the atmosphere and the people and the dynamics. But I'm really with you. So I'm also as a person, as a curator, more interested in collaborations with not that low-level art space, or low-level, like on the base, like you have the same language, or so sympathetic. You have other values which combine each other. It's not money and contracts and success. It's more having a good time, spending place over here, recreate the scenery with interviews, and make friends also. See interesting places, and as you told me, yeah, you can be less serious, you can more be experimental, and not talking about experimentals, and be experimental. So yeah, we put this and this together and we take a look what happens, or we take this artist from Ticino and the other from Geneva and we take a look what happens. So, and if it's this word of fail, to fail, you can fail at off spaces, but you can't fail at if you are institutionalized. This is so like heavy pressure. This is also a reason why we reactivated off-off. This is you wrote an off-off. It's not an off space then in this sense. It's like a networking platform or an association, and the only thing we're doing at the moment is gathering, be together, take ideas and look what happens. This is also a part of this, running a homepage, and we do need a little bit more of cultural lobby. We should be more focused on this national politics of art space, because off spaces are really important for a lot of artists, also artists who not students, also artists who had exhibitions in several art spaces. They came back to off spaces because they know it's low level, I can experiment, I can fail with my work. Was not possible in institutional way because there are critics and why did you do this, it cost so much.
You know, when you think about Basel, of course you have the Art Basel, the building, of course you have the great churches, whatever, but come on, we have all the big cities have these industrial areas which is quite abandoned at this time because there's not much industry. All industry went to China, so they are producing, we are just doing art, or I don't know. But this is funny. We could sit the exactly same position with wagons, with whatever, with the river, in many cities. I don't know, in Berlin as well, have some industrial zone, Paris as well. So it's a quite international one.
Yeah, this is always the same. We're sitting in the offsites, abandoned offsites. Of course, the fees for space is lower, but there is a problem, or somehow a problem in Switzerland. Switzerland is too rich. Oh. And what happens with all these spaces? They will be destroyed and built something new. The concrete churches, the new buildings looks like the same on every 100 meter, and this is somehow a problem. So the art has to deal with it, or the art spaces, or the artist run spaces. I don't know the word in English. It's in German it's Zwischennutzung, means that you can temporary use of space. Of course, this is a very important thing for projects and people like these curators being offsite. Yeah, we have cities in Lucerne. You don't have stuff like this because the Lucerne has not a history with industry. I don't know, huge fabrics or enterprises. Just the nylon thing, where now is the art school located. It's a huge area. Basel and Zurich a little bit different. Of course, you have this thing, so you see it because of all this shipping stuff at the Rhine, because it's a very important port for the market. But sooner or later, everything. We need a new building. We have not money in Switzerland. It's not like then when I go there. I've been in Leipzig, for example. Leipzig has been built for I don't know 800,000 people, and now living 4,000 people inside there. You have abandoned sites, totally nothing, and in my fantasy it's easier to get stuff like this, and of course I would like to live in a space like this, but I live in Bern, in the old town, in a wonderful apartment, renovated, not that expensive but also not that cheap. Because I don't know, nobody will come over here for a living because it's rough or it's loud or whatever.
But it's just complicated, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for this spontaneous interview at this offsite.